The twin moons of Arenthia cast silver light across the grand diplomatic gala, transforming marble courtyards into ethereal landscapes and glinting off the masks of alien nobles. Liam Callis adjusted his tailored navy coat for the 5th time that evening, feeling the weight of Earth's expectations on his shoulders. As the youngest envoy ever sent to these high-stakes treaty negotiations, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was desperately out of his depth. He glanced at Olivia, his assigned bodyguard, whose golden fur caught the moonlight as she scanned the crowd with predator's eyes. The Beastwoman stood a head taller than most attendees, her armored form a stark contrast to the flowing garments of the aristocrats. She hadn't spoken a word all evening, but her presence was a constant reassurance amid the sea of unfamiliar faces and customs. First time at an Arenthian summit? A voice pulled Liam from his thoughts. An elegant diplomat with 6-fingered hands and opalescent skin extended a crystal flute of something that glimmered like liquid starlight. Is it that obvious? Liam accepted the drink with what he hoped was a diplomatic smile. The way you keep touching your coat. Relax, young Terran. These negotiations have been years in the making. Ambassador Rhodes speaks highly of your potential. Liam nodded, catching the slight hesitation. Kevin Rhodes, Earth's lead diplomat, had been oddly distant since their arrival, leaving Liam to navigate most preliminary discussions alone. The ambassador believes in throwing people into the deep end, sink or swim, as we say on Earth. The diplomat's translucent skin rippled in what might have been amusement. An appropriate metaphor for your species, always plunging headlong into... Liam never heard the end of the sentence. A golden blur slammed into him with crushing force. Olivia's amber eyes locked with his for a fraction of a second, not emotionless as he'd thought, but blazing with urgent purpose, before she hurled him bodily through the air. The world spun in sickening arcs as he sailed over the heads of shocked dignitaries. He crashed into the central fountain with a thunderous splash, the cold water stealing his breath. Confusion gave way to indignation as he surfaced, sputtering, his formal attire ruined.
What the hell?
The world exploded. A blinding flash tore through the night, followed by a wave of pressure that rippled the water around him. Screams replaced the elegant music as the terrace where he'd been standing moments before erupted in flames and chaos. Bodies flew through the air, some moving, many not. Marble statues shattered like glass, raining deadly shards across the courtyard. Olivia appeared at the fountain's edge, extending a clawed hand. We need to move, now. Liam stared at the devastation, his mind struggling to process the transformation from diplomatic gathering to war zone in mere seconds. What? You were the target. She hauled him from the water with effortless strength. Questions later. Run! They sprinted through the shattered gardens, ducking behind toppled columns as secondary explosions rocked the palace grounds. Guards shouted in their harsh native tongue, energy weapons casting eerie blue light across the smoke-filled air. Olivia moved with fluid precision, guiding Liam through gaps in the chaos, occasionally pausing to strike a guard with silent efficiency. Where are we going? Liam gasped, as they ducked into a vine-covered corridor, his soaked clothes heavy and cold against his skin. Somewhere they won't look immediately. Olivia's ears twitched, alert to sounds Liam couldn't detect. The central vaults. We need evidence. Evidence of what? Who did this? Her amber eyes narrowed. I have my suspicions, but suspicions aren't proof. The palace corridors grew narrower, the opulent decor giving way to utilitarian stone. Twice they froze as patrols thundered past, and once Olivia pulled Liam into an alcove seconds before a drone hummed by, its scanning beams sweeping the passage. How did you know? Liam whispered after the mechanical threat had passed. About the bomb? I didn't. I saw the triggerman, palace guard. Wrong stance. Eyes fixed on you instead of scanning. She moved forward again, her voice barely audible. I made a call. You saved my life. She didn't acknowledge this. Instead, pressing her palm against a seemingly ordinary section of wall. It slid open, revealing a steep staircase descending into darkness. The vaults aren't on any public blueprint, Liam said, hesitating at the threshold. I'm not typical security. For the first time, a hint of something like dry humor colored her words. Come, 60 seconds before the next patrol. The vault level sprawled beneath the palace like a technological underworld, all gleaming metal and pulsing light strips. A stark contrast to the classical architecture above. Olivia moved with purpose toward a central console, her claws clicking against specialized interface panels. What are you doing? Liam watched nervously as code scrolled across multiple screens. Accessing the diplomatic summit's secure files. Her fingers flew across the interface. All communications are recorded and encrypted here, including orders that don't go through official channels. That can't be legal. It's not. Stand watch. Liam positioned himself at the entrance, his mind racing. The explosion had been aimed at him, a junior envoy with minimal actual authority. It made no sense unless... Got it. Olivia's voice cut through his thoughts. Transmission from Earth. Diplomatic channel. Ambassador's private encryption. The screen displayed a message addressed to a Commander Vithan, bearing Ambassador Rhodes's digital signature. Ensure Callus doesn't leave tonight's function. Make it public. Make it messy. The Coalition needs its war. Liam stared at the words, reading them again and again as if repetition might change their meaning. This is from Earth. From our side. Your ambassador wants war, not peace. Olivia downloaded the file to a secure drive. You were to be the spark, the murdered diplomat whose death would justify military action. But why me? I'm nobody. Young, idealistic, sympathetic victim. Her eyes met his. Perfect martyr. The betrayal struck Liam like a physical blow. He'd admired Rhodes, had been honored when selected for this mission. The idea that his own government, his mentor, had orchestrated his assassination as a pretext for war left him hollow. How did you know to look for this? Olivia's ears flattened slightly. Because I've seen this before. Different worlds. Same play. She ejected the drive and handed it to him. We need to move. They'll check here eventually. Where do we go? The embassy's compromised. The palace is hunting us. Liam's diplomatic training had covered many scenarios, but never one where he became a fugitive from both sides. I know someone in the Undercity. If she's still alive, if she still owes me. Olivia led him toward a different exit. The maintenance tunnels connect to the old aqueducts. We can bypass most security that way. They slipped into dark, cramped tunnels that smelled of ancient stone and stagnant water. Liam followed Olivia's silhouette, trying to orient himself as they descended further beneath the glittering capital. Why are you helping me? He finally asked. Your job was to protect me at the gala. Mission accomplished. You could walk away. She was silent for so long that Liam thought she might not answer. Finally, she spoke, her voice low. 5 years ago, I was assigned to guard another diplomat during similar negotiations. I followed orders exactly, kept my distance, maintained protocol. Her pace slowed slightly. He was killed because I didn't look beyond my instructions. I won't make that mistake again. I'm sorry. Don't be sorry. Be smarter than I was. Question everything now. They emerged into a vast underground chamber where ancient aqueducts crisscrossed in engineering marvels. Murals covered the walls. Faded images of peace ceremonies between species, now locked in cold wars or open hostilities. The old ways, Olivia said, noting his attention to the artwork. Before the corporate interests divided the sectors, a noise echoed through the chamber, the distinctive sound of armored boots on stone. Olivia pushed Liam behind a massive support pillar, drawing a compact energy weapon from her belt. Palace Honor Guard? Liam whispered. She shook her head. Wrong pattern. Mercenaries. Probably the same ones who planted the bomb. The footsteps grew closer, accompanied by the electronic hum of scanning equipment. Olivia's muscles tensed, her golden fur bristling. "Stay here," she mouthed silently. Before Liam could protest, she'd slipped away, a shadow among shadows. He held his breath, counting heartbeats as the mercenaries' lights swept across the ancient chamber. The first scream was cut abruptly short. A brief flash of energy weapon discharge illuminated the space in harsh blue light, revealing Olivia locked in combat with 3 armored figures. Her movements were a blur of controlled violence, claws raking through armor, feet finding impossible purchase on slick stone, body twisting to avoid return fire. Liam had never witnessed combat up close. The diplomatic corps showed sanitized videos of military engagements, clinical and distant. This was raw, visceral, terrifying. One mercenary crashed to the ground mere feet from Liam's hiding place. Helmet visor shattered, revealing unseeing eyes. He fought the urge to vomit as Olivia dispatched the remaining 2 with brutal efficiency. She returned to him, breathing heavily, but otherwise showing no signs of exertion. A thin line of dark blood matted the fur along one arm, the only indication she'd been wounded. "You killed them!" The words escaped before Liam could consider their stupidity. "Yes. No apology, no explanation." "I've never—" he swallowed hard. "I've never seen anyone die before." Something softened fractionally in Olivia's expression. "Then you've lived a privileged life?" "Diplomat." She checked the mercenaries' equipment, pocketing several items. "We should move. Where there are 3, there will be more." Liam followed her in stunned silence. The image of the dead mercenary's face burned into his memory. He'd known intellectually that violence underpinned the political structures he navigated, but experiencing it firsthand shattered something fundamental about how he viewed his work, his purpose. They continued through the aqueducts, eventually emerging into the Undercity, a warren of makeshift structures built into the bones of ancient Arenthia. Here, the glittering prosperity of the diplomatic quarter seemed a distant dream. Species from across the sector huddled in overcrowded conditions, trading goods and information in a dozen languages. "Keep your head down," Olivia instructed, guiding him through narrow alleys. "Your clothes mark you as outsider enough without showing your face." "Where are we going?" "To see a smuggler, someone who can get us off-world without official channels." They arrived at what appeared to be a repair shop, though the technology scattered around the cramped space looked more advanced than anything Liam had seen in the palace. A wiry figure bent over a disassembled engine core, manipulating components with 4 arms, moving in perfect coordination. "Rasha," Olivia called. The figure spun, 2 of her arms already drawing weapons while the others reached for alarm controls. When she recognized Olivia, she relaxed marginally. "Thought you were dead," Rasha said, her voice rasping through translator implants. "Or worse, respectable." "Not yet on either count." Rasha's compound eyes shifted to Liam, evaluating. "This the Terran everyone's looking for? Price on his head would buy me a new shop." "I saved your life in the Krellian conflict," Olivia replied evenly. "You said any favor, any time." Rasha made a clicking sound that might have been laughter. "And you cash it in with the most wanted man in the quadrant. Typical." She reattached an instrument to her belt. "What do you need?" "Transport off-world, untraceable, and a secure comms relay that can't be jammed or traced." "You're not asking for much, are you?" Rasha moved to a cluttered workbench. "I've got a stealth-modified courier in the lower docks. Small, but it'll get you to the fringe stations." She produced a data chip. "Docking bay access and ignition codes." "Thank you," Liam said, finding his voice. Rasha's alien features configured into what might have been amusement. "Don't thank me, diplomat. This," she gestured between them. Means I own a favor from you now, and I'm not as sentimental as your bodyguard. She's not my— We need to move, Olivia interrupted. Any advice on patrols between here and the docks? Heavy presence on main thoroughfares. Take the maintenance shafts. Rasha hesitated, then added, And Olivia, whatever you're planning, make it count. I'm tired of watching idealists die for nothing. The journey to the docks forced them through flooded corridors and past dangerously deteriorated infrastructure. Twice they froze as drones swept by, and once they had to double back when they encountered a security checkpoint. Why is a smuggler helping us? Liam asked, during a moment of relative safety. Seems risky with the bounty you mentioned. Rasha was a political prisoner before she was a smuggler. She hasn't forgotten who locked her up. Olivia checked the passage ahead. And she believes in settling debts. What happened in the Krellian conflict? Her extraction went wrong. I stayed behind to ensure the shuttle launched. Olivia's tone made it clear the topic was closed. They reached the lower docks, a chaotic sprawl of vessels ranging from luxury yachts to industrial freighters. Rasha's courier ship was berthed in a forgotten corner, its design deliberately unremarkable. Can you fly this? Liam asked as they approached. Better than you, diplomat. Olivia input the access codes, and the entry ramp descended with a pneumatic hiss. The ship's interior was cramped but functional, with a cockpit barely large enough for two. Olivia took the pilot's seat, her clawed fingers moving with surprising delicacy over the controls. Strap in, departure won't be smooth. Liam had barely secured himself when the engines roared to life. The ship lifted with a lurch, skimming dangerously close to neighboring vessels as Olivia navigated toward the atmospheric shields. They're activating port defenses, she noted calmly, as warning lights flashed across the console. Hold tight. The ship accelerated with stomach-churning speed, rolling and diving through the port's protective grid. Energy beams lanced past them, close enough that the shields crackled in protest. Can we make it through? Liam gripped his restraints as the ship shuddered under a near miss. We're about to find out. Olivia executed a maneuver that seemed to defy physics, the small vessel spinning on its axis while maintaining forward momentum. They shot through a momentary gap in the defensive fire, the ship groaning as atmosphere gave way to the void of space. Pursuit, Liam asked, his heart pounding. 3 vessels, military class. Olivia's focus never wavered from the controls. Preparing jump to hyperspace. Shouldn't we calculate a safe? The stars stretched into lines, and Liam's protest died as the sickening lurch of unplanned hyperspace transition squeezed the air from his lungs. The vibrations threatened to tear the small ship apart before suddenly subsiding, leaving them floating in the eerie calm of hyperspace. That was— Liam struggled to find words. Reckless. Necessary. Olivia finally looked away from the controls. They'll track the jump vector, but we'll be long gone by the time they calculate our destination. Which is where, exactly? Fringe relay station orbiting a dead star. Off most official charts. Place where information traders and independent journalists operate. Someone who can broadcast the evidence? Liam fingered the data drive in his pocket. Will they help us? For the right price, or the right story. Olivia set the autopilot and unbuckled her restraints. We have 4 hours in hyperspace. You should rest. I don't think I can— She studied him for a moment. First firefight, first betrayal, first fugitive run. It's a lot for one day. Diplomat. Liam, he corrected. If we're going to die together, you might as well use my name. Something that might have been a smile flickered across her face. Try to sleep, Liam. Tomorrow doesn't get easier. The relay station materialized against the black backdrop of space, a spindly construction of metal and composite materials orbiting the dense remnant of a long dead star. Its modules sprouted in seemingly random patterns, the result of decades of unplanned expansion. No flags or insignia marked its allegiance, This was a place that existed in the spaces between official jurisdictions. "How do we know they won't turn us in for the reward?" Liam asked as they approached. "We don't." Olivia guided their ship toward a docking collar that extended like a skeletal arm. "But they hate authority more than they love money." Usually, the docking procedure completed with a series of metallic clanks, followed by the hiss of pressure equalization. Olivia checked her weapon before opening the airlock. "Stay behind me. Don't speak until I indicate it's safe." They entered the station through a utilitarian corridor, the air tinged with the distinctive smell of recycled oxygen and machine oil. Olivia moved with predatory alertness, her ears swiveling to catch sounds beyond human perception. A figure waited for them at the corridor's end, humanoid, but with distinctly non-human proportions, skin the color of burnished copper, and eyes that reflected light like a nocturnal animal's. "Mara," Olivia acknowledged. "Thought you'd gone corporate." The station operator's voice had a musical quality despite its gruffness. "Last I heard, you were playing babysitter for diplomats." Her reflective gaze shifted to Liam. "Though I suppose you still are. We need to use your broadcast array. Unfiltered, wideband." Mara made a sound between a laugh and a snort. "Do you know how many bounty notices I've received for your companion in the last 12 hours? Every major power wants him silenced, which means he has something worth hearing." Olivia held Mara's gaze steadily. "Something that could shift the balance, or something that could bring military strike forces down on my station." Mara crossed her arms. "Why should I risk everything for your crusade?" Liam stepped forward, ignoring Olivia's warning glance. "Because the truth matters. Because millions could die in a manufactured war if this evidence doesn't get out." Mara studied him silently, her alien features unreadable. Finally, she sighed. "Fine, but you earn my trust first. I need to know exactly what I'm broadcasting before I commit my station." She led them deeper into the facility, through cramped corridors lined with humming equipment. The central hub of the station was a dome-shaped room, filled with communications technology, ranging from cutting-edge to salvaged antiques. "Show me," Mara demanded, gesturing to a secure terminal. Liam inserted the data drive, bringing up Ambassador Rhodes's incriminating orders. "Earth's ambassador arranged to have me assassinated at a peace summit to trigger interstellar conflict. The attack killed dozens of diplomats from 17 worlds." Mara's eyes widened as she scanned the evidence. "This is bigger than I expected." She accessed additional systems, fingers flying across interfaces. "There's more here. Financial records, weapon shipments disguised as humanitarian aid, military assets being positioned near contested zones." "A coordinated effort," Olivia said quietly. "Not just Earth. Multiple powers working together to ensure war." "Why?" Liam asked, the scope of the betrayal expanding beyond his comprehension. "What could possibly justify this?" "Resource control, political power, the same reasons wars have always been fought." Mara's tone was bitter. "The public doesn't want conflict, so they manufacture consent through false flag operations and controlled narrative." She straightened. Decision made. "I'll broadcast this. Full spectrum. All independent networks. But it will take time to prepare the transmission properly. Ensure it can't be blocked or corrupted." A proximity alarm blared through the station, cutting off further discussion. "3 vessels approaching," Mara reported, checking a monitor. "Military configuration, running dark." "How did they find us so quickly?" Liam moved to the viewport, watching as sleek, predatory ships decelerated toward the station. "Doesn't matter," Olivia checked her weapon. "Mara, how long to prep the broadcast?" 20 minutes minimum to ensure it penetrates all signal jammers and propagates across the independent network. "Can your station defenses hold them off that long?" Mara's expression answered before her words did. "This is a communications relay, not a fortress. We have basic shields, minimal weapons." Then we defended ourselves. Olivia turned to Liam. Do you know how to use a weapon? Basic training, but I've never. Today you learn. She handed him a compact energy pistol from a station locker. Stay with Mara. Help with the broadcast. I'll slow them down. Before Liam could protest, a transmission cut through the station's communication system. A cold, precise voice filled the room. Relay station operator. This is Commander Vithon of Special Operations. You are harboring fugitives responsible for terrorist actions against multiple governments. Surrender them immediately, or we will take necessary measures. Mara killed the audio. Vithan, the same commander mentioned in the assassination order. He's here to clean up loose ends, Olivia said grimly. Us. The station shuddered as the first docking attempt began. Mara's hands flew across the broadcast controls. I need more time. The encryption layers have to be perfect, or they'll shut it down before it propagates. Liam. Olivia's amber eyes locked with his. Stay here. Help her. If they break through before the transmission completes, everything was for nothing. He wanted to say something meaningful, to acknowledge the immensity of what they faced, but all he managed was, be careful. A ghost of a smile touched her features. Not my specialty. Then she was gone, racing toward the docking collar where the first intruders would breach. Liam turned to Mara. What can I do? Monitor these channels. If they turn red, it means our transmission is being jammed. Reroute power from Section B7 if that happens. She worked frantically, building layers of protection around their data package. And maybe pray to whatever gods you believe in. The sounds of combat echoed through the station's corridors. Energy weapon discharge, shouts, the clang of metal as equipment was damaged. Liam divided his attention between the transmission progress and the security feeds showing Olivia engaging the first wave of mercenaries. She moved like something from another world, her golden fur illuminated by weapon fire, as she tore through professional soldiers with terrifying efficiency. For all her lethal grace, she was still outnumbered, fighting a delaying action she couldn't possibly win. Transmission at 40%, Mara reported. Beginning propagation to secondary relays. A massive impact rocked the station, throwing Liam against a console. Warning lights flashed as atmosphere vented from a damaged section. They're cutting through the hull, Mara rerouted systems frantically. Emergency bulkheads activated, but they'll be through in minutes. On the security feed, Olivia was forced to retreat, falling back toward the central hub as more mercenaries poured into the station. She was bleeding from multiple wounds now, her movements still deadly, but increasingly desperate. How much longer? Liam asked, checking the energy levels on his weapon. 10 minutes for full propagation. Maybe less if... Another explosion rocked the station. They're getting closer. The door to the central hub slid open, and Olivia stumbled through, sealing it behind her. Her fur was matted with blood, one ear partly torn. They're right behind me, she gasped. Vithan is leading them personally. Liam moved to her side, helping her to cover behind a communications array. Are you... I'll live, if we succeed. She checked her weapons charge. Status? 65% propagation, Mara called. But they're jamming some channels. I'm working around it. Energy blasts struck the sealed door, the metal glowing red at the impact points. Olivia positioned herself with a clear line of fire, her breathing ragged but controlled. Liam. Her voice was steady, despite her injuries. If this fails, if we don't make it, I want you to know you were worth saving. Before he could respond, the door exploded inward in a shower of superheated metal. Mercenaries poured through the breach, firing indiscriminately at equipment and personnel alike. Liam ducked behind the console, returning fire with more determination than accuracy. His diplomatic training had never prepared him for this kind of desperate last stand. But something had shifted in him since the gala, a willingness to fight that surprised even himself. Through the chaos, a tall figure strode into the hub. Commander Vithan, his aristocratic features set in cold determination. Unlike his soldiers, he wore no helmet, as if certain of his invulnerability. "The broadcast won't save you," he announced, his voice carrying over the firefight. "Even if it transmits, who will believe the desperate lies of a failed diplomat and his pet mercenary?" Olivia launched herself at Vithan with a primal snarl, abandoning cover in a last, desperate attack. The commander was ready, sidestepping her charge and striking with a neural disruptor that sent her crashing to the floor. "Pitiful," he said, standing over her. "I expected more from the famous Olivia, the Golden Defender." Liam saw his opening, a moment when Vithan's attention was fixed on Olivia. He fired 3 rapid shots, catching the commander in the shoulder and spinning him away from his fallen comrade. Vithan's face contorted with fury and pain. "You, the diplomat?" He raised his weapon. "I should have made sure you died in that explosion." "Transmission at 85%, Mara shouted from her position. "Almost there!" Vithan shifted his aim toward the broadcast controls. "No!" Olivia moved with impossible speed for someone so wounded, launching herself upward to sink her claws into Vithan's throat. His scream became a gurgle as they crashed to the floor together, his neural disruptor firing wildly into the ceiling. "Now, Mara," Liam called, laying down suppressive fire to keep the remaining mercenaries at bay. "Transmission complete!" Mara's jubilant cry rose above the chaos. "It's propagating across all independent networks. They can't stop it now." As if responding to her words, the remaining mercenaries began a disorganized retreat, their commander dead, their mission failed. Liam held his position until the last of them disappeared through the shattered doorway, then rushed to where Olivia lay beside Vithan's body. "Olivia?" He gently turned her over, fearing the worst. Her amber eyes fluttered open, focusing on him with effort. "Did we?" "We did it. The evidence is out. Everyone will know." A ghost of a smile touched her bloodied muzzle. "Worth it, then." Mara worked frantically at her console as the station's systems began to reset after the battle damage. The primary relay confirms replication across all major independent networks. They're already beginning to report on it. She brought up several feeds on the main display, news outlets across multiple worlds, interrupting regular broadcasts with breaking news alerts. The evidence they'd risked everything to release was spreading like wildfire through the information networks, impossible to suppress or contain. "Ambassador Rodas is being taken into custody," Mara reported, scanning incoming messages. "Similar actions against conspiracy members on 6 other worlds. The coalition is fracturing as governments distance themselves from the plot." Liam sat back, a strange emptiness replacing the adrenaline that had carried him through the past 24 hours. They were really going to do it. Start a war. Kill millions. And now they won't. Olivia winced as she tried to sit up. "At least not this way. Not today." Liam helped her to a more comfortable position, examining her wounds. "You need medical attention." "The station has basic facilities," Mara offered. "Enough to stabilize her until you can reach somewhere safer." "Safer?" Liam laughed hollowly. "Is anywhere safe for us now? We've just made powerful enemies across multiple governments. But powerful friends too." Mara gestured to the incoming transmissions, flooding her systems. "People who value truth. People who were ready to fight the war your leaders wanted to start." She worked at her console for a moment, then handed Liam a data chip. "Contact protocols for independent worlds that would welcome you. And this," she produced a small communicator. "Direct line to me, if you need it." "Thank you." The words seemed inadequate for what she'd risked. "Don't thank me yet. Your troubles are just beginning." Mara's expression softened slightly. "But at least you'll face them alive." In the station's small medical bay, Liam cleaned and bandaged Olivia's wounds while automated systems administered appropriate medications. The Beastwoman submitted to the treatment with stoic silence, though he could tell from her occasional flinches that the pain was considerable. "You keep saving my life," he said as he sealed the last bandage. "I'm losing count. Then we're even—" "Your shot distracted Vithan." Her amber eyes studied him. "Not bad for a diplomat. I was aiming for his head." A rough sound that might have been laughter escaped her. "Still not bad." They lapsed into companionable silence as the medical systems completed their work. Finally, Olivia spoke again. "What now, diplomat? Back to Earth to face charges of treason, or disappear into the fringe worlds?" Liam considered the question seriously. "I joined the diplomatic corps to make a difference, to build peace." He shook his head. "I was naive. Naive isn't always wrong. Just incomplete." Olivia sat up carefully, testing her bandaged limbs. "Your goal was right. Your understanding of the system was flawed. And now? Now we have choices, hard ones." A gentle knock interrupted them. Mara stood in the doorway, her expression uncharacteristically hesitant. "Your friend Rasha sent a message. She's delivered on the second part of her debt." Mara handed Liam another data chip. Burner identities, untraceable, and coordinates for an unmarked freighter waiting at the rendezvous point. "Clean start, if you want it." Liam turned the chip over in his hands, feeling the weight of the decision it represented. "What do you think?" he asked Olivia. "I think we've earned the right to choose our own path." She stood, wincing slightly, but steady on her feet. "And I think we make a surprisingly effective team." Hours later, they stood on the bridge of an unremarkable freighter, watching as a gas giant's rings stretched before them like a celestial highway. The ship was old, but well-maintained, with enough automated systems that a minimal crew could operate it effectively. Olivia had cleaned her golden fur, the bandages now hidden beneath a simple flight suit. Liam had exchanged his ruined diplomatic attire for practical clothing found in the ship's stores. Both transformations seemed symbolic of their changing roles. No longer diplomat and bodyguard, but something new, undefined. "The transmission continues to spread," Liam noted, checking the communications array. "Already there are calls for investigations, reforms, transparency." "It won't last." Olivia's tone wasn't bitter, merely realistic. "Systems protect themselves, but it might create space for real change, however small." Cynical. Experienced. She adjusted their course slightly, the rings filling more of the viewport. "But I've been wrong before." Liam studied her profile. Fierce, controlled, yet somehow less rigid than when they'd first met at the gala that now seemed a lifetime ago. "What happens to us now, after everything we've seen, everything we've done?" "We survived." She turned to face him fully. "Now we start living, on our terms. No more protocols, no more chain of command. Just truth, as we find it." She extended her hand, an oddly formal gesture from someone who had saved his life with savage efficiency. "Partners?" Liam took her hand, feeling the carefully sheathed claws, the strength held in perfect control. "Partners." The freighter drifted silently through the rings, two silhouettes against the viewport, free from lies, looking toward an uncertain but hopeful future.